So, we're here today to speak about leadership and doing big things, about taking it to the subsequent level. But as you unfortunately already know, we're facing some pretty cold hard facts. The economy isn't exactly booming out there, is it? It's more like busting, and there's no way around it, in need of printing extra money at the Fed or racking up the most important debt in human history, and even that isn't working very well. If the economy was a Hollywood movie, it would have gone straight to DVD and so to the discount bin at Blockbuster if after all, there have been still a Blockbuster. The percentum continues to be near 8% nationwide and above 10% in California where I live. And then there's the full Greece situation. What a disaster that's. That's sort of a bug just searching for a windshield. Therefore the euro's on the ropes, Japan's in trouble, and therefore the federal deficits are to date off the charts that they need to create new charts. Things aren't exactly rosy out there, right? It's a difficult time, and therefore the future looks about as secure as Lindsay Lohan driving along the San Andreas Fault while texting on her telephone with a cocktail in her hand. Meanwhile, you'll find this interesting: the amount of millionaires has actually doubled since 1997. Doubled. Are you able to believe it? The identical is true for people worth over 10 million or 100 million. It's even true for billionaires. Doubled. Consider that for an instant. So if the amount of millionaires has doubled within the last 15 years, and it has, meaning only 15 years ago, 2 today's millionaires hadn't yet acquired their wealth. And it's also an undeniable fact that the general number of millionaires in 1997 had doubled since 1982, 15 years earlier, which implies that only 1/2 had their wealth back in 1982. Meaning that 3/4 of all of today's millionaires made their wealth within the last 30 years. Now consider that. They didn't inherit their wealth. They made it themselves, during their own lifetimes. In America, 93% of millionaires are first-generation millionaires, and only 3% of them are professional athletes or the luckiest of celebrities. So a full 90% of today's millionaires made their wealth themselves in some form of business venture, high-paid career, or successful investment strategy. And it's not just happening in America either. It's happening within the UK and everyone across Europe yet. It's happening in places like India and China. It's happening in Russia. Lord knows, it's happening in Russia, where they don't even remember that crazy concept called communism anymore, unless you're a part of the millions who are still living on subsistence wages. It's true, ladies and gentlemen, it's a worldwide trend. New wealth is here. And if you're like me, that's one bandwagon you'd happily jump into. So what we've got is that this strange dichotomy where most of the population is absolutely struggling to create ends meet, while at the identical time there's also this other group that's doing rather well in planning their prosperous futures. We're not talking a couple of small division here. We're talking a couple of Grand Canyon scale divide, only there aren't any tourists taking pictures. On one side, all you have got is long lines, abandoned factories, and foreclosed homes. But on the opposite, you have got gated communities, luxury yachts, and exotic sports cars. What's the deal? How did we get here? Well, that's what we're visiting speak about today. Because the reality is that there's never been a more robust time to be ambitious. There's never been a more robust time to be an entrepreneur. There's never been a more robust time to think big. There's actually a really interesting misunderstanding of the division between rich and poor. Most of the people believe that the division is between those that earn $150K or less every year and people who earn $250K or more, but that's not the division that's widening. In fact, the division is getting narrower. The particular division between rich and poor is between those making $500K or less every year and people making $10 or more. That's Verity division. That's the division that's widening. That's the division they're talking about. It's just that no one wants to speak about those styles of numbers. Earning $10 every year is to date outside most people's reality that it not seems believable, but it's the truth in our society.